Hey, it's your boy Hendo checking in, coming to y'all with another video. And today we got South Carolina State mad that Pamela EVETTE is going to be their commencement speaker. whatever. Anyway, they're mad, which I understand. This lady does not represent them in any sort of way. None of her beliefs align with black people, and I can't say black people as a whole because we have black conservatives that believe probably everything she believed. But why would you be at a HBCU? Why can't you find somebody black to go be a commencement speaker for a HBCU? And if the students say they don't want it, what's the problem with that? Why can't we just find somebody else? But let's get into this drama and more, because I don't really got much to say in this one. I'm not a college student, so we're gonna let the college students speak for themselves. Let's go.
What we saw with hundreds of people coming together, yelling and chanting, is a mob, any way you slice it. I look forward to being at SC State. I won't back down on this. President Trump, the governor, and I have done more for our historically black colleges and universities than anybody in the history of the state or the country, to make sure that we're supporting, that they are an intricate part of not just our country, but our state. And I don't think that what's happening here is that you have students who are well educated who don't know the facts. So I look forward to delivering a speech next Friday to the students that talk about how I got to where I am.
Was wanting to know if you can explain why you're referring to these student protesters as a woke mob and or leftist protesters when they're expressing their First Amendment rights.
Anytime you have people with signs and bullhorns and yelling that, I am pro-life and I am against DEI and I am a big supporter of the president, right? Those are all facts. But there's a better way to do things. And, if these are well-educated young adults, and we should all be able to attend anything and hear opposing views and be okay with that. But yelling and chanting and screaming is what we're seeing happen all over the country, from California to New York. We're seeing it all over. It can't happen here. When you take constructive dialogue, which Charlie Kirk was trying to do, and what did he say? When people stop talking, when people stop listening to each other, is when violence happens. And there's always great and better ways to do things than what was happening. And what we saw with hundreds of people coming together, yelling and chanting, is a mob, any way you slice it.
May I dare say real quick, y'all need to protest the goddamn, whoever invited her there needs to be protested. Because why are you even inviting somebody with that type of rhetoric to an HBCU? You know what I mean? The leaders of these HBCUs are all about the dollar too. Capitalism took them. All of our culture is being stolen from us, just monetized and spread out to the masses like it's nothing. They're allowing motherfuckers to come in a black college who ain't even black, talking about I'm in the DEI on a black college campus. Like, what are we talking about here? But hey, we gotta also hold these universities accountable, or the leaders, deans. I don't know who's running the show, but they need to be held accountable too. Let's keep going.
Find another stadium. Okay, find another speaker. Find other people who are on board members, people that agree with you. If you are an SCSU student right now, don't give them that energy. Protests are energy balls. They're like a ball of energy, and that could be dispersed at any direction that you put it. So don't give them that kind of energy. It's always been this way since Martin Luther King days, bro. Since the Jim Crow laws days. Whenever we protest, what they want is like, look at these people. They're angry. They're black. They're obnoxious, rambunctious. They want to stereotype us. Don't give them that energy. The best action sometimes is a lack of action. Don't give them the attention. Find another stadium, bro. Find another place to graduate. Hear another speaker. Like I always ask, like, is Michelle Obama busy or something? Like, find someone else to speak to you, bro. You don't have to sit there and listen to that woman for what? But they love to be where we're at. They love to do what we're.
I'm Lena Allen here at South Carolina State University, where students just wrapped up protests after they learned that Lieutenant Governor and Governor candidate Pamela EVETTE is set to speak at a commencement scheduled for May 8th.
So the students are protesting Lieutenant Governor Pamela EVETTE's commencement speech invitation for May 8th. And I'm going to stand by these students. As a fellow HBCU graduate, I went to an HBCU knowing that I'll be taken care of, that I'll be around like-minded individuals, that I won't be subjected to violent language, violence in and of itself. I knew that I won't be discriminated against, taught things that will go against my best interest and my personhood, as well as the personhood of the people around me. So to have Pamela EVETTE, who said the following.
Right, because woke mobs are coming after me for being a champion of eliminating radical DEI scams on college campuses. So bring it on. Just like President Trump, I'll never back down or bend a knee to the woke radicals. I'm ending DEI on campuses once and for all.
You have subjected these babies to not only violent language or rhetoric, the safety and comfort in which they chose your school, that you've now threw back in their face, and you having these babies in a time to where they should be celebrating finishing college, to now having to combat racist rhetoric at an HBCU nonetheless. You guys should be ashamed of yourself. I did try to get the president's office. I called the number. I left a voice message, but I obviously wasn't able to get through. And I implore all of you guys, HBCU graduates or not, to go and call the president and make it known that you stand with the children, the graduates of South Carolina State University, that we do not agree with Pamela EVETTE speaking, especially given the rhetoric that we just heard. And we want these babies to walk across that stage proudly because they deserve it and deserve to have somebody to speak with them that does not carry out some of that vile language that you're not only allowing and then giving an honorary degree to. Now, I don't want to speak to speculation, but it sounded like some money is being involved. But let's be clear. If you guys go through with this, you will have bigger problems than not having proper funding for your schools. Because now you're going to see a decline in your student population enrollment, because now they feel like, well, dang, I'm no longer represented properly. They don't care about me. The president doesn't care about me. And now I know what our administration thinks and what they will put above its own students. So again, this is alleged. I'm just speculating. I don't know what was the reason that they chose her. But my point is, if it was for that, you have a lot more problems later on down the line. You won't have a school at that point. But again, that's just my stance as an HBCU graduate. I'm proud of my HBCU. I wouldn't dare trade my experience for nothing. And while I was at my HBCU, I was well taken care of. I put the number on the screen for the president's office. You guys give him a call too. Even if you can't speak to him, leave that voice message. I'm also going to try and find some more contact information for this school so we can help the graduates with their protests. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please let me know what you guys done to help the graduates of South Carolina University. I'll speak with you later. Bye.
To all the students down at South Carolina State University, keep protesting because this is outrageous. If you haven't heard, students down at South Carolina State University have been protesting the last day and a half because they found out that their commencement speaker for their May 8th graduation will be Pam EVETTE. Pam EVETTE is the current Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina, and she's also a gubernatorial candidate, meaning she's running for governor. Students say that Pam EVETTE absolutely does not align with their values or the values of South Carolina State University. They also found out that the university plans on giving her an honorary degree, and they are outraged. Students were able to speak with President Conyers, but his response was less than satisfactory. He doesn't know if they'll change speakers or not, and so the protests continue. Now, while that was going on, Miss Pam was on TV and on the internet last night calling the students woke and calling them a mob and turning this into a racial thing, which it absolutely is not. Child, y'all, take a look at this.
While I was at the White House today, I heard about what's happening on the campus of SC State University. Let's be clear, facts trump feelings in the real world. President Trump and conservatives have done more for HBCUs than any administration in history. I must be doing something right because woke mobs are coming after me for being a champion of eliminating radical DEI scams on college campuses. So bring it on. Just like President Trump, I'll never back down or bend a knee to the woke radicals. I'm ending DEI on campuses once and for all. Stay tuned. I'm going to have a lot more to say about this later.
There is some very racially charged news out of South Carolina today. And I know that's probably not surprising, but I'm going to ask you not to scroll and stick around to hear the details because I promise you, you want to know the details. We found out today that Pamela EVETTE is going to be the commencement speaker at graduation ceremonies for South Carolina State University. Now, South Carolina State University is an HBCU, a historically black college or university in South Carolina. Pamela EVETTE is our current lieutenant governor. She looks like this. Not only does she look like this and comes from a background and an experience set that is equivalent with a person who looks like us, conservative, and not just a conservative, but a self-proclaimed MAGA and Trump supporting conservative. She's the current lieutenant governor, and she's running for governor of our state this year. There are currently about 6 individuals, I believe, I'll double check, running for the GOP ticket in South Carolina, and she's one of them. And she is the candidate that has been publicly endorsed by Henry McMaster, our current governor, or as he is known locally, Foghorn Leghorn. Many South Carolina State University students have not been thrilled about this announcement, as you might imagine, and, as is their American right, have decided to protest the selection of Pamela EVETTE to be the commencement speaker. But, of course, as you might imagine, her response to this criticism has been so well-tempered and measured. Just kidding. She decided to play victim and criticize those who are protesting her presence at commencement ceremonies for this HBCU. Please see her words here.
I must be doing something right because woke mobs are coming after me for being a champion of eliminating radical DEI scams on college campuses. So bring it on. Just like President Trump, I'll never back down or bend a knee to the woke radicals. I'm ending DEI on campus.
Now, let's be very clear. Her being very Mayo-based, as am I, is not the only reason why her presence at commencement ceremonies has been protested, although in and of itself that is a very valid reason, as she cannot relate to the personal life experiences of the majority of students at South Carolina State University. It is also very valid given the fact that she is who she is. Off the top of my head, I can come up with you 2 very specific examples as to why she is not a logical choice for commencement ceremony at a university like this. The past couple of weeks, she was one of the main players in a press conference that was hosted by our current governor, Henry McMaster, as well as our current Secretary of Education, Ellen Weaver, wherein McMaster decreed a certain day as TPUSA Day. Yes, Turning Point USA Day. They hosted a press conference wherein they celebrated the youth that are a part of TPUSA at the high school level and very highly encouraged, wink, wink, hint, hint, that every single public high school in the state of South Carolina have a Club America at their school, which is a faction of TPUSA, and gave homage, I suppose, to old CK himself. So that happened. But wait, there's more. I also made a video just 1 week ago. It looks like this. If you look back at my thumbnails, you should be able to find it not that long ago, about how she was celebrating that the statue of John C. Calhoun, an individual from our state's history who was a supporter of slavery, a slave owner himself, and somebody who fought against the emancipation of enslaved Black people, was posing with that statue and being very happy about the fact that after a lawsuit following the removal of that statue from Marion Square in Charleston, South Carolina, it was re-erected on some land somewhere. Because, you see, she claims that removing statues of people like John C. Calhoun, which arguably, although important historical figures in our state's history, also highly problematic, that criticizing them is somehow erasure of our real history. She is very vocally anti-DEI. She claims that we should not have hate crime laws on the books because those aren't fair and they're discriminatory in and of themselves. And she is closely aligned with the MAGA base. Therefore, most of the laws, the policies, and the ideas that she supports and would want to implement as governor, given that she's the likely next winner, because we've had a governor who is Republican for over 20 years in this state, and she has been endorsed by the current governor who has been serving for 2 terms. And then when she's met with voices of Black students saying, we don't think you're the right fit to speak at a commencement ceremony at our university, she responds with chagrin, with condescension, claims she's the victim. They're coming after her because she's trying to do the right thing. Let's be oh so clear. Pamela, you shouldn't be the speaker at this particular commencement. Not because you're white. If you were white, but also someone willing to actually fight against all of the systemic racial issues that we have in our state, that could be one thing, but you're not. You are someone who not only supports continuing the status quo, which systematically disenfranchises Black and brown people and any and all other marginalized groups, you are also someone who proudly, closely aligns herself with Trump himself and the entire MAGA movement. None of that is conducive with being an individual who is actually using her status, her influence, her platform to support improvements to our state. You instead both profit off of and want to retain these racial barriers in our state. So why exactly should you, of all people, be the one who is chosen to speak at SC State University? Riddle me that.
Know what y'all think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, hype this video up if you can. Spread the word. You know, we trying to, if you in South Carolina, I say go protest with them. You know what I mean? Stand up for our people. Help them get her out. And if you could do online, you could also do it online with your presence. You know what I mean? Write them. Write the school online. Blow up their page. I don't know. Go in the comment section. Whatever we could do to help. But it's been your boy Hendo.